Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Regina Sunshine, coming to you from what is always a beautiful day for me here in Douglasville, Georgia, with the Regina Sunshine Show, where I bring you my version of midday motivation, helping you get a Regina Sunshine state of mind. And I'm so excited about today's show. If you've been watching my show for any amount of time, you know that I tend to, as Jack Trade Instinct used to say, overbook my show, because it's always better to have more guests than not to have enough guests. But today I only booked one guest, but then it all made sense when I realized who it was. He's a professional in his own right, and it's a super tremendous human being. So it's going to be a great show. I'm going to spend here with Mr. Martin Bailey. I can't wait for you guys to meet him in just a little bit. But I do want to give you guys some upcoming dates to remind you some things that we have going on. The first thing, of course, is August the 24th. We have the 5th annual Awesome Girl Awards. If you don't know, I've been doing the Awesome Girl Awards now, August 5th annual tells you, for 5 years, where we honor girls ages 5 to 17 that are excelling in whatever their area of gifting is. One of the reasons I started the Awesome Girl Awards is because so often in school, our kids are celebrated for either academics or athletics, and sometimes if they can sing, right? But what about the kids that are great at community service, that are inventors, that are entrepreneurs, or, you know, just all around great kids? When are they celebrated? And when are they celebrated specifically for the thing that they're great at? So that's why we created the Awesome Girl Awards. And we also do the Young Boss Awards. But on August the 24th, we will have the 5th annual Awesome Girl Awards. We're partnering with the Andrew and Walter Young YMCA, downtown Atlanta, one of the most famous YMCAs in the city. A lot of big things happen there. Shout out to Gavin and Michael Supreme for bringing us there to do this event. I can't wait. And it's an all-girl award show. We have a girl MC, we have a girl DJ, we have girl caterers, the whole thing. I think I may be the only adult, maybe one other sponsor that will hit the stage that day in celebration of our girls. But along with that, in celebration of 5 years of doing the Awesome Girls, we are launching the Awesome Girl Collaboration Book. That's right, we've got 30 girls that have all written a chapter in a book called Why I Believe I'm an Awesome Girl. And the whole point for this book was, number one, to give our girls an opportunity to express, you know, all these different things about themselves that make them awesome, from their talents, their gifts, their abilities, their dreams, who they admire, you know, what they like about themselves. But at the same time, give them the opportunity to minister to other girls who will read the book. And out of the 30 girls, we'll find at least one girl who looks like her, sounds like her, has similar dreams, goals, and visions. And because that girl is an awesome girl, she will know, wow, I'm an awesome girl too. So I'm so excited. This is probably the best project I've ever been a part of. We've got 20 or 21 girls that are here in the Atlanta area. We got a couple out of state, North and South Carolina, and then we've got 7 girls in Birmingham, Alabama, that a church there sponsored to be a part of the book. So I'm so excited. We will have the book launch at the Awesome Girl Awards. So all of the girls, except for the Alabama girls, we're doing a separate launch for them. All of the girls will be here in Atlanta for their first official book signing. And it is my goal for all these girls, ages 5 to 17, for their first book, they will be best-selling authors. It's going to be a bestseller. Watch what I tell you. So if you want to be a part of this event as a vendor, a sponsor, maybe you just want to support our girls, you can go to reginasunshine.com, look for the link to the Awesome Girl Awards, and sign up there. We're still accepting all types of interesting donations and gifts. And I say that because we do a lot for the girls at the Awesome Girl Awards. So if you've got, you know, something in mind, you think, hey, this might be something great to offer the girls, hit me up and let's see what we can do to change these girls' lives forever. All right. Then in November, we have the 3rd annual Regina Sunshine Curvy and Confident Empowerment Week. I'm so excited about this. It's an opportunity to celebrate women. When I say curvy and confident, that's all women, right? All women have curves. So we will start out that week, that Tuesday. And Michelle, I didn't write it down again. What is Tuesday coming up to November the 16th? I know I asked you that last week or the week before. I know. So that Tuesday, we will kick off with an online kickoff. And that Wednesday will be a comedy show hosted by Miss Jen who's fresh off last year's comedy tour with Cat Williams. She opened for him over at Cat's Cafe. That Thursday, we'll be doing a spoken word event hosted by Journey the Poetess at now I'm going to say Coffee Underground. I'm thinking about Greenville, South Carolina, at Urban Grind on Marietta Street in Atlanta. That Friday, we're going to have a Network Your Curves Off event with Akila Benjamin out of Baltimore, Maryland. And then that Saturday, right here at Regina Sunshine Global Network, we will have the 3rd annual award and fashion show. And I'm so, so excited. The award show, I know, is November the 16th. That's the only date I have stuck in my head. So we kick off on November the 12th. I'm going to write that down, Michelle, so I don't have to keep asking you that information. But we will kick off November the 12th, a full week of events. And it's always a great time to celebrate women and the best of who we are. And one of the things that I do at the award show, and I guess my grandmother is on my heart because of Mother's Day, I do have an award called the Elizabeth Allen Alford Overcomers Award that I named in my grandmother's name, and the Elizabeth Allen Alford Scholarship that we do each year for a first-year college student. So I'm so excited for these opportunities, not only to be a blessing to the women that are present, but to carry on the legacy of giving that was everything that my grandmother was. So yeah, it's some great stuff coming up in 2019, and you never know. Me and Michelle always hatching stuff over here behind closed doors. I'm telling what else we're gonna hatch up between now and the end of the year. But that's it. I think those are all my announcements for today. I do want to mention our lineup for the rest of the day here at Regina Sunshine Global Network. At 5 o'clock, we've got Focus Forward with Robin Shockley, which is always a great show. If you've never seen Robin's show, definitely tune in today at 5 o'clock, right back at Regina Sunshine Global Network. And just see all the great stuff she has going on. Robin has a way of truly ministering through other people's stories on her show. And so I love her so much. That's my sister, if you didn't know. And it's always a good thing to see her shining and being just who God has called her to be. So tune in at 5 for the Focus Forward with Robin show. 9 o'clock, we got The Curve. The Curve is our roundtable women's talk show from a curvy woman's perspective. And if you've never watched it, you will hear all the latest news, especially as it relates to women and self-image and media and all of that. I'm sure they're going to talk about Miss Curry. I see that coming up as a topic of conversation tonight on The Curve. But I love the different perspectives on the panel. Always is a great conversation. So tune in at 9 o'clock for The Curve. I think that's it. Well, I go to my first break of every show talking about what I'm thankful for. I always mention what I'm thankful for, and it's so much. But again, I guess with Mother's Day being yesterday, my mother and my grandmother are on my heart. So much of who I am is because of who they've been in my life. I tell people all the time, specifically from my mother always told me I was beautiful and smart and amazing. And when you walk through the world hearing that about yourself every day, then you have no choice but to go out and conquer and be great, because that's all you know. And so when the world tells you you can't do something or you aren't something, the first thing comes out of your mouth is, well, my mama said. And when mama says that about you, you believe that about you. And I'm so thankful that she always told me and my sisters the best things about ourselves. She is the original sunshine. She is the person that walks in the room and lights it up and kisses and hugs I hate going to Walmart with her. I have to say this out loud because she's going to talk to every single person. And I always say, Mama, I'll be running back and forth getting stuff and bringing it to her buggy. And she was like, well, how you know that person hadn't been hugged today or nobody loved them today? And she said, that's part of my assignment in the earth. So I have just accepted it now. So I get the list and just let her push her cart around and I go get the stuff so she can just love and kiss on the people. So we'll get out of there because I have been in there for hours with her and she's just as happy as a pig in poop. That's the best way to say it, because she done talked to people and prayed with folk and laid hands in Walmart and had the best time. Well, I'm always on a mental time schedule just trying to get her out of the door. But I'm so thankful that she is who she is, because I've seen love. I tell people all the time, I know what it is to be loved, and I've seen what love looks like. Because her and my grandmother are both love in action. My grandmother, one of the biggest servants that I've ever known. She had a way of making you feel like you're the most special human being in the world. And I say that because I always thought I was her favorite. And then after she died, we were at her house, and me and my cousins were all sitting around talking, and we all had the same stories. And like, no, but I'm the favorite. I was like, well, hold up. She did that for me too, but she made each of us feel like we were it, like the sun rose and set on us. And I did all my life think it was just, I was like, oh, the rest of them, it's me. But she was like that with all of us. And what a gift to be able to make people feel like that. And I even remember my husband John, when he first came, I think one of the first times he came to visit our family, he walked in the door and she hugged him like she had known him his whole life. And she found out he liked lemon pound cake. So every time we went to visit from that day forward, there was a lemon pound cake that we all share, but there was a lemon pound cake that John Robinson took home with him every time. She did that for all of us. If I like banana pudding, I don't know how she had all these. There would be, for me, a banana pudding we all shared. There'd be a banana pudding off to the side for just Regina. And she just had this way of making you believe that she was so tuned into you and so all about you that made you just love being in her presence. And even now, her house is my favorite place to be. It's like I can still feel all those mornings making biscuits with her in the kitchen, and hearing her praise the Lord. I used to tell people some of my earliest memories are kneeling at her bedside, because old folk get on their knees and pray. We try to lay in the bed and pray and stand up and pray. Old folk get on their face and pray. And she would pray until we would fall asleep, because she would pray for everybody that we had ever met, up one side of the street, back down the other. And so when I tell people that everything I do, everything that I am, is a direct result of the legacy they left behind, I'm not joking. I just didn't show up here like this. I've been loved by two amazing women who showed me what it looked like to also love other people and to truly be God's representatives in the earth. And I'm so thankful today that they were mine. All right? We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back here on the Regina Sunshine Show on Regina Sunshine Global Network. All right, you guys, you are back live on the air at Regina Sunshine here on the Regina Sunshine Show. Where? At Regina Sunshine Global Network. And I'm so excited to have, it's not even like a guest, because I feel like I've known you. And we just physically met in the present. Well, welcome to the show, Martin Bailey.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's good to have you here. I start off every show talking about how I met someone. And I know we connected on social media, but I can't remember how. Or if there was someone we knew in common.
I don't know if it was someone we knew in common. I know it was social media. I want to say it may have been just through your network itself.
Okay.
The group.
The group.
I want to say it may have just been the group.
Because now that I've, been in communication with you, I found out we do have several people that we know in common, like Robin and Brandy Hunt,
Right.
and that whole circle there.
Oh, yeah.
So do this for us. Tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, basically, my name is Martin Bailey. I am originally from a town called East Orange, New Jersey. I live in, somebody from Jersey, what?
She's from New York.
Oh, that's what's up. All right. Tri-state, represent. I grew up in New Jersey. I was there for like 18, 19 years of my life. I'm a father of three. All right. I believe in God. Jesus is my Savior 100%. I'm completely unashamed to speak anything about the gospel because I went through a divorce. Started last year, but I was separated, years prior, and it was nothing but God that brought me through. I mean, there were times where I was down and out, but I cannot talk about God enough because there were many times where it was just, and it always is really just me and him, if you know what I'm saying, but it was literally just me and him. me and God. But I'm never ashamed to just continue to speak about how powerful the name of Jesus is and how powerful God is. Just it's amazing. Um, I was in the Army for 20 years. I was a combat veteran. Went to Afghanistan, made it back in one piece. Thank God for that. And I have some other lines of business. Well, a line of business that I have is called Voice of Triumph. It's a voiceover company in which I provide voice narration, voiceovers for commercial segments for business owners, and I also can do educational curriculum as well. So if anybody ever needs anything, just hit me up. I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Like I said, you're leaving off. You got your own radio
Oh yeah.
show.
Well, yeah. I mean, I work for it's another line of income, another stream of income. I'm also on WFMV out of Columbia. I'm one of the weekend hosts that are there, usually on Saturdays or Sunday, and it's a great place to work. Met a lot of great people, along the way, and work with a good, excellent group of people. I'm not going to name everybody, but it's a great place to work. WFMV under the 95.3 out of Columbia it's a great place to work. I wouldn't change it. Once I got the opportunity, I said this is like a dream come true because that's something I always wanted to do. All right. But,
Well, you gave us a whole list of things to talk about.
yeah.
So let's start back with East Orange, New Jersey.
East Orange, New Jersey.
How did you end up in the South?
Well, ended up in the South via the military.
Okay.
I went like so many different places, from Kansas to Texas. Went from Texas to Korea. After Korea, I went to New York State, upstate New York, a place called Fort Drum, New York. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. One of the coldest places on earth during the wintertime. 62 below with the wind chill one time it was recorded. It was crazy. I don't know how people survive up there. But after that, I went to Hawaii. From Hawaii, I went to Louisiana. And when I was in Louisiana, that's when I went overseas to Afghanistan. Served over there for 15 months. I put in my paperwork to retire while I was over there. And once I got back to Louisiana, it was just like maybe 4 or 5 more months that I had left in the Army. And after that, I moved to South Carolina. Just wanted a place that was centralized, that was near my family, because I have family in North Carolina. At the time, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. But it's a great place. I mean, I met, some good people there, and it's just been a place of opportunity. And even from going to South Carolina, even though that is the state where, unfortunately my divorce took place, there were great things. And a lot of people look at me crazy when I say that, but that's how God moves. God doesn't always have to move when everything is like rosy and bright. It's like you can see the greatness of his power when he can move in a storm.
Yes.
And because of that, that's when things came forth. Opportunities, like I said, at the radio station, opportunities to use a gift that many people told me I had back in like 98. They would say to me, Martin, your voice sounds like it should be on radio. This was in 98. And then fast forward X amount of years, Voice of Triumph is born. People are coming to me asking me to do commercial segments, and I'm making a living out of it.
It's a beautiful thing to be able to do something you enjoy and people pay you for it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Isn't that
Definitely.
wonderful?
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned people been talking to you about doing this, since 98?
Since 98.
And now here you find yourself in this space where you're able to operate. What is it like, I guess, at this phase of your life, after, so many things have happened, to begin new, to be able to start something that you enjoy and that you love?
Well, it's great. I mean, it just shows that it's never too late. You never know what can happen when. I'm a spiritual guy, so a lot of times I reflect back to the Bible. You look in the Bible, and it didn't really matter how old a person was,
That's right.
i.e., Sarah. It really didn't matter how long somebody had been on the earth, or how long they were in a state that they were in. When God wants to show up and make something happen, man can't stop that. It's when God decides, it's like, okay, now's the time that Martin is going to do this. And I'm just thinking, prior to that, all of that was in me.
Yeah.
But maybe it wasn't the right time. Maybe the venue was not right. Maybe just those who were around me, maybe they weren't able to support me,
Yes.
the way that I should be supported. But even after that time frame, of the divorce, once I separated and things started rolling, God started bringing so many positive people into my life. It was like I was flooded by positive people, flooded by people who wanted to see me succeed, even though there were some that kind of shunned me, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm, not going to be specific about the venue, but there was a certain place where people shunned me and some people did not, but there was like I said, an influx of supportive individuals that just came into my life, and next thing after some ups and downs, I just kept pushing because I knew that God was with me,
Yeah.
and now I'm here. So
Well, I've seen the meme before. What, broken crayon still color? I think about people. I guess when you get a little older, you feel like, well, so many things have been broken
right,
that there's no way I can do anything in this. Those are young people's dreams
right,
or whatever.
right,
But even I'm 46. I'll be 47 in August, and I think about all the things that are happening now
right,
that would have been great if it happened 20 years ago. But could I have handled it? Was I ready? Was
right,
God's timing right?
right,
I mean, was my timing right? His timing is perfect. So maybe his timing this time, not maybe. I heard what I said. His timing this time
right,
is right because everything is aligning in a way that I couldn't have predicted.
right,
People are showing up that I couldn't have seen coming my way. And I know now we're supposed to have this conversation because so many people believe at a certain age or as a certain things have happened in your life, there's nothing else for you.
right,
And then you come along and say, "No, no, look at what's happening to me now," and it begins to be an encouragement for those that are watching. So if someone is watching, maybe they're going through some of the same things, Martin. They're like, "Man, I'm going through a divorce.
right,
I'm trying to take care of these kids.
right, right.
I'm trying to work. There's no way that there can be anything for me." What would you say?
It's never too late. I mean, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I've learned that it doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter how bad something can be, deemed as impossible. As we know, with God, all things are possible. You know, I've been in situations, honestly, where I had to sacrifice meals for my son. And this isn't like, oh, way long, long time ago. This is like within the past 3 years. This is like recent. This isn't like some far-fetched. This isn't like, a story on the news that you hear about. This is real life. But as you hear a lot of people say, I don't look like what I've been through. And I can attest to that. Every time I get up in the morning and I'm still able to see my reflection, I'm like, wow. Even though I've been through what I've been through, I bounce back. It's possible. Never stop, never quit, and never think that God has forgotten about you.
That's a big
Never
one.
think
That's a
that
big
God is
one.
not paying attention to you. Never think that God does not hear your cries, because he hears every whimper. He sees every tear. He sees every drop of snot that comes out of your nose. He sees every bit of sadness. Trust me. And it may seem like, you're backed in a corner, and figuratively speaking, the Red Sea, is just before you and there's no way out. But trust me, believe me when I say, every single time I had my Red Sea experience, that joker was split like crazy, just like that. And God showed up. And a lot of times he will even show up through people who you least suspect. He'll show up in a way that you would never imagine. And it's always right on time. Not to sound cliche, but it is. It's always right on time.
It is. I was thinking about when you were asking me earlier about starting my show.
Right.
I had offered to do a television show a while back with a real big platform, and it was why I left the first radio station, and I thought it was God. It's got to be God. It's
Right.
big money, big opportunities. I'm gonna hire my family. I'm MC Hammer. I'm gonna hire everybody. Gonna do this thing, and whenever they presented me with a contract, it didn't match the verbal offer.
Right.
And I had to walk away from it. And it seemed like that was for me, right?
Right.
And I felt like I had everything in place and all the people. And it was a period of time where it was just me and him.
Right.
I had to put that aside. And now I'm in this position now where people that I never would have thought would be in my life are here. People that I thought would have been with me have walked away.
Right.
And everything is happening in a way that I couldn't have predicted. and it's a beautiful thing, like you said before. Maybe things had to happen
Right.
so people can be removed.
Right.
So that when God blesses you, they don't mess it up.
Right. Right.
Because some people, will come into your life just for that reason. You've mentioned your divorce several times, and so I want to ask you this in terms of healing.
Hmm.
What are some of the things that have helped you in that healing process?
Things that have helped me, of course, God Himself. I mean, reading the Word. And I found that I even tried, and I'm not ashamed to say it, I tried therapy. I went to like a couple sessions, but based on like scheduling, because like I said, at the time I had custody of my oldest son, just my oldest son. And it was kind of hard because they were asking me to come at like a later hour, like after 6 and things of that nature. I was like, this is not going to work. So a couple sessions in, I stopped that, and I found that over time, just communing, with God and asking Him to heal me. And when I said healing, not only from just the separation and the divorce, but from any anger, any hatred, any bitterness that I had on my heart, because God, what I was asking God to do in my life, that would not be able to happen if I'm having all that within
Yeah.
my spirit. So I had to ask God to remove all that, everything. God, I don't want to, and I said it. I was like, God, I don't want to be mad at her no more. I don't want to be petty. I don't want to have any anger, hate, malice, rage, whatever. Please, God, remove that, because I want to be blessed. And this is how I was talking to him. It wasn't some elaborate,
Yeah.
articulate speech or whatever. I was just, talking to him. And that's all we need to do. And that's all He wants us to do. Talk to Him. He wants us to try Him. He wants us to try Him. And that's what I did. Rather than, pay a co-payment, I just got on my knees, and I said, God, please remove this from me. And sure enough, just as this past February, He removed all that from me. I'm able to communicate with her now. I'm able to actually look her in the eye, which is something I could not even do before, and talk to her. Be civil and be genuine, and not be, in a sense, just like getting along just to get along, like, oh, the kids are watching, so I'm going to be okay, I'm going to be civil. No, sincere.
Yeah.
Being able to say Happy Mother's Day to her, so things of that nature.
Somebody needed that. Because so many people are dealing with hurt
Right.
and anger and not facing it.
Right.
Just like you said, putting on this mask, like I won't come while y'all watching me,
Right.
but still dealing with that inside, and it does hinder everything else you're trying to do. You're not able to fully operate in those gifts and be
Right.
who God has called you to be in the earth, because you over here still mad
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and being petty.
That's
I
right.
see you out there being petty
Yeah.
with people. So I thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. Somebody needs to hear that. So now, this new phase of life,
Okay.
all the new things that are happening. How did you get started with the voiceover part?
Okay, like I said, it was back in '98. I remember being in the Army, answering the phone one time, and in the Army we have to answer the phone a certain way, just as like with any business. There's a certain little bit of lingo you have to give your greeting, And I can remember saying, uh, good morning, this is Sergeant Bailey speaking, 642nd Engineers. How may I help you, sir, ma'am? And when I rattled it off, the person on the other end was like, wow, Sergeant Bailey, your voice, man, you sound like you should be in radio. So like I said, fast forward X amount of years, a divorce happens, or a separation first, and I found myself, I'm in a position where I had to get more income. But we all know that God has given everybody something.
Mm-hmm.
He just put some, I guess, some platinum or something on my vocal cords, and I thank him for that. Good looking out, God. I have something that I can use, but we all have something. And throughout the course of my life, even after the Army, once I retired, I worked for a worked in a federal position, and I would be on the phone periodically, and I would get the same thing every time I was on the phone speaking to someone. Your voice sounds like, are you like in the media or anything like that? So time went on again. I went to work for a health insurance provider, and there were like a period of 2 hours every day I would have to be on the phone. Someone would call kind of irate about their health claims, that they were rejected. But once I started talking to them, their mind, it went somewhere else. And they would ask me the same thing. Have you ever been in television or in the radio? So I'm hearing this periodically over and over and over and over again. 2017 comes. Uh, I went through the separation. I was still in the period of the separation. Times were hard. My stomach was growling. I said, "Hey, we got to get something. Got to eat. Got to live. Got to survive." So as people were telling me that over and over again, I said, "I got to do something. I have to reach out to somebody to find out how do I get into the voiceover game." So I went on LinkedIn. I went on LinkedIn, and I just typed in. Actually, I just typed in voiceover. Some names popped up with people who had, a background in it. First name that popped up was a lady by the name of Belinda Kendall, and she gave me the contact for a gentleman who's in Charlotte, North Carolina. His name is Chris Clay. Chris Clay is a very experienced producer, sound engineer, etc., etc. He actually has a great testimony himself. You need to try to get him on the show, honestly. But when she gave me that information, though, initially, I sat on that information. From January, she gave me the contact, from January 2017, y'all, until September of 2017. But when September 2017 came, I actually called, made an appointment to have a demo created, which is on my website, the one that actually started it all. And the next thing you know, it was September that I made the demo, but before September was over, at the beginning of October, I had my first client.
That's what's up.
Yep. And then from that point, it just kept going. It just kept going. And throughout that time frame, there was a period of time where I actually was going to quit and give up. But I had one of my actual Facebook contacts, and you know her by the name of Brandy Hunt.
Okay.
Talked to her, and she was like, "You better not quit. You better not quit." And the next thing you know, business, started flowing, and I even got an opportunity to do a voiceover for her for a show that she had, Journey to Success. That was a great, and actually be on her show as well. So that goes to show that if you have a gift, use it. You will be tested, you will be tried. You never know how it's gonna go. You're gonna have some dark moments, some bleak moments, but if God has given you something, He hasn't given you, and you're being obedient and using it too, He's not gonna leave you hanging. Trust me, because from that, having that opportunity, or having that particular skill or gift, I should say, is helped me get the actual opportunity to work with the radio station. Because what's used in radio, your voice, having that helped. That was something, I guess, on my resume, if you will, that helped. But I know where it all came from. I give all the credit to God. He put that in me, and I'm just being obedient and using it.
Television's next. I'm just saying. It's not just the voice.
Right.
You've got the look, the voice, the personality, the heart. So I'm just waiting for you to announce your television show.
Hey, we'll see what happens.
On the Regina Sunshine Global Network.
You see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm down for it. I'm down for it.
Michelle know me. I'm always interviewing when it looks like I'm just interviewing.
Got you.
But I love that because, I tell people that all the time, that there's some gift, talent, or ability we have inside of us that if we just put ourselves out there, we can create this space where you get to do what you love to do and people pay you.
Right.
And you don't have to go somewhere necessarily every day that you don't want to go, or that I remember I had a girl once that was working at a daycare, and she said she would sit in the parking lot and she would cry every day.
Wow.
I'm like, baby, that's not where you're supposed to be. That's not it. Those babies need somebody that's happy to see them.
Right.
So there are people who are gifted, who have a love, and children know that. So find out what that thing is inside of you, and then go out and pursue it and see what God to open those doors for you to be who He's called you to be. And there's a space that we're all supposed to feel, right? And if we're not fulfilling our space, then something gets undone. Somebody's not being ministered to because we're not where we are supposed to be.
Right.
And so now, even looking at where you are with your radio show, it's interesting to me to see how it started with, one thing, but now you're in a place of true ministry.
Yes, definitely. I mean, working for a radio station that plays gospel and inspirational music, having a chance to do that, having a chance to do voiceovers, and I have 3 jobs, by the way. Having a chance to work with the state. I work with the state as well, and it's great. I mean, I'm not complaining, and the thing about it is, it all fits because, for one, my main job, working with the state, I have a supportive boss. My director, she's outstanding. And my co-workers, we all help each other. There's no like backstabbing or anything in the department I work at. We all help each other, and it's like really a good family type of environment, and it starts from her, my director, and it trickles on down. So everything fits like all the other, lines of work and everything. It all just meshes together really well.
I promise you, your director sees what I already see. She knows that your time there is not until retirement,
Right.
that there's something greater
Right.
for you to do. And I specifically see ministering to men and with relationship hurt.
Right.
For some reason, people think that our men don't hurt.
Right.
And I was having that conversation with someone over the weekend, because as women, what we're always hearing is men do this to you, that to you, but never addressing a man's individual hurt. And I think that's a conversation that really needs to,
Right.
and from a man's perspective, talking to other men, because that gives them an opportunity to, so they can kind of let their wall. They don't want to do it in front of the woman, right?
Right.
But hey, Martin's coming to you saying, look, man, I know you hurting.
Yeah.
So you see, and I can see that you doing that, is creating that space for men to be vulnerable and open, so
Right.
another brother can help him get past that hurt.
I hear you.
Does that sound familiar? Have you heard it before?
I've heard that before.
I'm
I've
sure
heard
you
that
have.
before. Yeah.
I'm sure you have. This is just confirmation, right?
Yeah.
So this is one of those things you just have to go on and do, bro. Just don't even don't even hesitate anymore. Just don't, because men need you.
Right.
And even before the show, I was talking to Michelle about some friends of mine. It's interesting, in this last few months of my life, I've met, and I don't want people to take this term the wrong way, but I'm using it for you to help you really see what I'm saying. Some really broken men.
Right.
And it's because they haven't been given the opportunity or the permission to heal, because they're just supposed to be strong, just take
Right.
care of the family, whatever. And they're somewhere hurt,
Right.
because they don't think it's okay for them to tell anybody they're hurt and that
Right.
they need help.
Right.
So you talked about, even on your journey, going to see a therapist. That's like, for a man, go see a therapist. For
Right.
you to say that, another man, like, did you really go?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And to be able to say, yes, I did.
Yeah.
And maybe you need to go get on somebody's couch for a few minutes. So from a man's perspective, what have you seen when we start talking about our men and mental health?
Well, for the most part, I know like within our culture, that's something that is kind of hidden or shunned sometimes, or it is just like, as you said, it may be an aspect of like being weak per se.
Yeah.
But number one, I'm from Jersey. Number two, I was in the Army for 20 years. And number three, I went to combat. I wasn't just like in the military. I actually did the whole thing. I went to the Super Bowl, if you will, of being in the military, actually going to war. So I know I ain't soft per se, but I do have emotions. I'm not like, what was his name on Star Trek? Dr. Spock, Mr. Spock, had no emotions. I have emotions. When my mom died of breast cancer, it took me 3 days, but on that third day I cried. I was a rock from the time of her laying in ICU, even before she died. I remember asking her, are you ready to go be with Jesus? My strength in God, I'm serious. It's like off the chain, and it amazes me sometimes. But you have to be strong enough to say that, hey, I need some help.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I went, because one, I have 3 kids that saw me sad throughout the marriage. And they said, oftentimes my kids would come to me and they'd say, Daddy, why are you so sad? I mean, they're reading me. These are like, school age kids, right now, like 10, 8, and 6, soon to be 7. So these are school age kids coming to me. Why you look so sad, Dad? Why you look so sad? Dad was sad, So I'm sure maybe if somebody would have examined me at a certain point, they would have said, hey, Martin, you're clinically depressed, point blank, But I got to be right for my kids. Even though myself and my ex, we didn't work out, that's fine, but we're co-parenting. God has healed me of things, like I said earlier, and the kids are, stable in terms of visitation and everything. Every other weekend, all the kids are seeing each other. We're making it work. Kids are happy. Everything's fine. But something had to be done. I couldn't just stand there. I still got to be their father.
Yes.
I still got to live. I still have a legacy that I want to pass on to them. So I'm not going to just like act like I'm all big and bad and say I got this, and meanwhile I'm crumbling inside. Then the next thing you know, their father's in an insane asylum. I'm not letting it to get to
That's
that point.
right.
I'm not letting it ride. Seriously. So I'm going to make sure that I do everything in my power to make sure I was spiritually sound, mentally and emotionally sound, physically sound, the whole 9 yards. We got to take care of ourselves in all ways. Bottom line, because if we don't, nobody is coming. Nobody goes door to door asking people, hey, do you want to heal yourself spiritually? Do you want some health and wellness, tips? Do you want to be emotionally sound? People don't go to your house, your residence and ask you that. You have to do it yourself. If you don't take the steps to help yourself, you're gonna crumble because people aren't out there, going door to door to lend a service or to lend a hand like that. It doesn't work like that.
I just heard all the confirmation that I needed, especially when we're talking about talking to other men. The fact that you laid it out. I'm from New Jersey. I've been in the military, not just in the military, but I've been in combat. You're the kind of man a man could talk to because you're a man's man. And so when he comes to you, he doesn't feel like, like you said, just any man. This is a man who's been through some things. So I'll be waiting to hear about, whatever show or ministry or whatever develops for men.
Well, I'll say this. Maybe
that.
something from that will spin off from a segment that I'm actually doing right now. It's called Triumphant Tuesday. And I was doing it every Tuesday. Now I'm doing it every other Tuesday because I'm kind of spacing it out because I have some other things that are working. Give myself some time for me, my kids, because the every week thing, it was getting to me. So I said, let me break it down. Like one of my former clients, her name is Equator Kennedy. She does her segment like twice a month, every other Tuesday also, but just at 8:30. But I do a segment called Triumphant Tuesday on Facebook Live. And basically what I do is I bring those clients that I worked with, the ones that asked me to do a voiceover, hired me for a voiceover, I'm bringing them to the forefront. And it is for the purpose of basically we're uplifting each other and we're sharing our testimonies, with, the Facebook, audience, if you will, social media audience. And it's a time for people to learn about what my clients do, the services they offer, and also what they've been through to get to the point where they're at, because nobody's born a businessman or woman. Nobody just is born an owner, of a company or whatever. Things happen to make other things happen. I went through a separation and a divorce that, had me at the brink of being unstable emotionally. But when I said, okay, God, I'll use it, because God actually just basically told me, either use your gift or perish. And that's where I was. If I didn't use my gift, we would not be sitting here right now, bottom line. So I had to use it. I had no choice but to utilize what people have been telling me since 98. So we got to be obedient. We have to be obedient. And like I'm saying, from the Triumphant Tuesday segment, maybe there can be a portion of that where I could, have like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or a portion of that devoted towards that healing thing, or
You still backing up. Triumphant Living with Martin Bailey. That's the name of the show.
Triumphant Living.
That's it. You go and pray about it, but there it is. Triumphant Living with Martin Bailey.
She wrote it down.
I'm just telling you, I see it. That's one of the things, one of the gifts that God has given me, to be able to see things in people that don't see in themselves yet. But I already see it. It has to happen because there are people who need you. There are men right now who just want somebody they can talk to, somebody they trust enough to say, man, I'm hurting.
Right.
Help me. All right?
Right.
So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll finish up talking about Triumphant Living with Martin Bailey here on the Regina Sunshine Show. All right, you guys, you're back live on the air at Regina Sunshine here on the Regina Sunshine Show at Regina Sunshine Global Network. And I am still here with new friend. I feel like we're saying new friend because I feel like I've known you even though we just met, Martin Bailey. And if you miss any portion of this, please go back. I promise you there's something that will inspire you and encourage you from his personal testimony. So you mentioned during the break something about voice impressions?
Yeah, I do. I used to do them like actually when I was working at that health insurance carrier or provider. I was a trainer, and it was something that I just started doing. It's like I have like God's blessed me with a good ear. I guess it's kind of like how a parrot is, a parrot, the bird. You
Okay.
can hear something, and then after a while of hearing it, I can like mimic it. So there was like some voices that I've heard, like famous people and what have you that I tried doing, and it's
We're
just,
ready. What have you got for us?
I'm gonna just go to my old faithful, and that's President Obama,
Okay.
or former President Obama. Wish he was still the president. Did I say that out loud? No,
Yeah.
but all right, President Obama. Well, we're here, and we're at the Regina. It says it right here, Regina Sunshine Robinson, Global Network, and I see over here, Regina. What's this? You planning an airstrike? Okay, you look right here, ladies and gentlemen. If you look over here, here's North America, and we're right here. And the enemy's everywhere because we wrestle not against flesh and blood. All right, spiritual wickedness, high places. You know the rest. That was King James version. But we're trying to take over because this is the global network, right?
Yes.
That's why the whole world is here. It's flat, but it's really round. We're trying to take over everything, from over here in Asia all the way to Africa. All right, we're taking everything by storm. But you need to tune in. Michelle, she's here with me. You can't see her; she's off camera. But she's here. She wrote a book. Go buy it. All right, because if you don't, I might call an airstrike on you. I'm just saying. But anyway, make sure you tune in to Regina Sunshine Global Network. Watch it on Facebook. It's live. You're on YouTube too, right?
YouTube, yes.
All right,
yes.
check it out on YouTube and make sure you're tuning in. Because if not, I'll come back in the office and I might be worse than Trump. But anyway, God bless you. God bless Regina Sunshine Global Network, and God bless America. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. That is so awesome. My back of my head is hurting from laughing. That was so good. Wow, do you get that requested a lot? Do a lot of people ask you to do that?
When people heard I, did it, I would do it like at work sometimes. One time I did a prank phone call.
That was my next question. A prank phone call.
I did a prank phone call. It was like my supervisor at the job that I had when I was working with the health insurance carrier. She said she knew that I can do it, and she had me call one of the other workers, but like from another room. And I went on and on and on and on, and then after a while I said, "Hey." My former coworker's name is Shannon. I was like, "Hey, Shannon, it's me. It's Martin." She just busted out laughing. But yeah.
Oh, yes, quite convincing. I mean, you could call in to a show or something, and they would think it was really him. That's what's up. Do you have any impressions that your kids like? Do you do impressions for your children?
Sometimes I do like Kermit the Frog. They like Kermit the
They
Frog.
like that,
Whatever.
yes.
It's like, hi ho, this is Kermit the Frog here, and we're here at the Regina Sunshine Global Network show, yay! They get a kick out of that,
You're really good.
just little things, whatever I think of, that I've, kind of practiced here and there, I do it, Rocky, stuff like that, like Sylvester Stallone, stuff like that,
Oh, that is awesome. I love it. I didn't know that. I mean, wow. So my wheels start turning, come up with some stuff. Well, you've mentioned legacy a couple of times
Right.
In this conversation. And that's one of the questions that I often like to ask my guests. When you think about your life and the legacy that you want to leave behind, what does that look like?
It looks good. I mean, and that's really directed towards my children. And I think when we were waiting for the show to start, I think I heard the word affirmations, and that brought me back to what I've spoken over my children. For one, I do what I do, and I know that all of them are going to continue on with what I started in some way, shape, or form. I spoke positive affirmations over my youngest daughter. that, and I can see it, that she's going to be a journalist. She's going to be a world-class journalist to a point where she could have a talk show based on her personality. She is 6 and she'll be 7 in July. I've spoken affirmations over my youngest son, and I see him being a architect. I mean, a serious, like, drafting architect, engineer, because this dude, he can build. I remember when I first saw him build something, he built like a robot, but he built the robot upside down and then turned it over. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I spoke positive affirmations over my oldest son, who at like age 3 and 2, people were saying, wow, he's very athletic. Dude was very sure-footed. You know how sometimes toddlers, they may fall a lot or whatever. My oldest, he could like run down a hill and not stumble. I remember I think it was his 4th birthday party. It was like a soccer party. He was just literally, and I'm not just saying this because I'm his dad, he was literally running circles around everybody. And the guy that was like an actual soccer coach who was like overseeing everything, he was like, has he ever played soccer before? I was like, nope. You know, so I see my oldest, he's going to be a businessman slash Hall of Famer athlete. He loves football, by the way, and soccer. You know, and my youngest son, he's going to be an architect. He's going to design something great, something great. And my youngest, no offense, Oprah, I'm just putting that out there, but she's coming. She's going to be big, maybe bigger. But I'll let her know that, Oprah, you started everything. But but seriously, I see those things. But with what I've done, and what I'm doing, one of them are going to carry it on in some way, shape, or form, or all three will have a hand in it in some way. You know, so this is not me doing this. This is me being obedient to something that God placed in me. So this is a gift from God. I'm just like, you know, the vessel. I'm just driving it. It's his. This, you know, the engine. I'm just the driver. You know, he's the engine. He's the structure. I'm just controlling it at a point to how he wants me to control it, to how he wants me to operate. You know, that's it. But this is for them. I do all that I do. I almost tore your sign down. That's not. I do all what I do. You know, to be obedient to God and to make sure that my kids have something, you know, to remember me by,
Yes.
and something that they can also benefit from, because you never know where this can go, what I'm doing. Already I'm starting to see the fruits of my labor, so to speak. Mm-hmm. It's my air quotes, fruits of my labor.
Well, you mentioning your children, you know, in terms of healing and helping them, you know, there are parents that are going through some of the same things you went through.
Right.
Do you have any suggestions on things they can do to help the children with their healing process?
Well, yeah. For one, if you're in a church that has counseling available, do that, because my kids, each one was affected differently. I'm able to identify who needs what, and that's just from spending time with them. So all of my kids were afforded the opportunity to go, you know, and, you know, my oldest, you know, he's gone this like last week, you know, to a session. He's been to other sessions, you know, but the thing is, we have to be open to it. We have to be open to healing and open to different ways, you know. Of course, God is the ultimate healer. God has educated people, and he, you know, knowledge, it comes from him. God has educated people to do what needs to be done in order to help people. I mean, he has counselors, he made doctors, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we have to be open enough to, and kind of vulnerable enough to say, hey, I need help, or hey, let's do this. My oldest, he has some ups and downs, you know, in life, but got to stick it out. You know, I love him. That's my son, and I'm not going to let him fall by the wayside. I got to, you know, take action. None of my kids, I would never let them have to endure something, and I'm just going to be a bystander. That doesn't even sound right. You know, we need to take action, and that's the key word, action. Be doers, you know, not just bystanders. You know, make something happen.
I love that. I do. One of the other questions I like to ask my guests is for practical tips for our audience on, you know, positive living. You know, some people think you just wake up and everything's good, but not recognizing some people are praying, some people meditate, some
Right.
people have affirmations or certain books they read, or maybe it's somebody they watch on YouTube. What are some of the things that you do on a regular basis that keep you encouraged?
I would say one, of course, I spend time with God, and I've established my personal relationship with God. That's first and foremost. If you don't do that, everything else is kind of difficult. You know, I establish a personal relationship with God. Read the Word, focus on a scripture every day, pray that scripture, keep it in my mind, draw the meaning from it, ask for revelation. God, sometimes I don't even have to ask, and He'll show me. Another thing I do, I go to the gym, work out, and try to eat right. Notice I said try. Try eat right and eat right, exercise. And another thing that I found that was key: surround yourself with people who want the same things that you want in life or more.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, and I know this is cliche, but it's just the truth. But some people, even though we hear it a lot, some people fail to do that. You have to separate yourself sometimes from certain people that are in your circle, maybe your current circle, but because if they're not in favor of you elevating, and if you see that they are maybe acting a little funny or whatever as you're trying to strive, just and if you're a person that I say has maybe difficulty telling people that, hey, I can't I can't hang with you no more, or I can't roll, ask God, honestly, ask God to make a
Yes.
way. And that brought another thing to my mind as I said that. Ask God to make a way so that they will no longer be attached in your circle. And once they detach, don't bring them back. Second point, with the business that I have, as you know, anybody that's in any type of business, people are going to say no. When you're, trying to offer your services and what have you, people are going to say no. At first, when I heard no, and like I said, I'm from Jersey, I got a little upset. I'm like, what you mean no? Like, I ain't good enough for something? But as time went on, it's like this. It's like, God, if anybody is not supposed to be a client, if I'm not supposed to connect with anybody, please make it so that we just, sever ties, or the contract is never signed, or I never do business
Mm-hmm.
with them. And sure enough, there have been times where I can talk to somebody and it's like, yeah, 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 I want it. Oh, your voice is dope. Yeah, let's do this. Whatever, whatever. Next day, nothing. Week go by, nothing. 2 weeks go by, nothing. I reach out. They don't answer back. Wasn't meant to be.
Wasn't meant to be.
Next thing you know, a yes that trumps 10 previous no's comes out. It's like, you're playing cards. You can have your, three of hearts or whatever. That's like all the no's, and then all of a sudden, ace of spades come out. Then the joker, because you can start laughing about it. Because, seriously,
I
because
like that.
I've had a lot of no's, but then I get like a yes, like after four no's, that fifth attempt is like a yes, and that's like the ace of spades. And that just blows everything out the water, and it's like, you're not even thinking about those no's no more.
That's
So,
right. I love that. I
that's
do.
it.
Well, do this. Tell our audience, if they want you to, they want to use your services, pay him. Then how can they contact you, and where can they listen to your show?
Okay. Well, for one, if you want to have a commercial segment done, a voiceover done, just log on to my website, www.voice471.com. And just so you know, the 471, that comes from a scripture that the company is founded on. It's founded on Psalms 47:1. Oh, clap your hands, all you people. Shout unto God with a voice of triumph. Air quotes. So make sure that you go there, and on my website you can actually hear actual commercial segments that I have done that have been aired on different platforms, radio, on the internet. Like, people have used them for their websites. People have also used them for their radio shows. People have also used them for what's another thing? Oh, for their biographies. Like, I do a thing for public speakers, and it's basically a customized bio where you can, instead of having an MC tell your life story prior to you going up to that podium to speak, like as a motivational speaker, I write like a 1 minute script, basically highlighting different aspects of your life, those high points, which leads up to your introduction. And I have some examples that are out there. Actually, the examples out there on my website, and it's
That's
also one
good.
on YouTube. And it's basically like if you type "Voice of Triumph," personalized or customized bio for public speakers, it'll come up. But just you can contact me on my website. You can email me at voiceoftriumph471@gmail.com. So, but you can email me through my website as well. And as far as the radio, I'm on WFMV 95.3. It's a rotating thing, but I am going to be on this coming Saturday from 10 to 3. And if you go to ColumbiaInspiration.com, you can see a little icon which says "Listen Live." The show is streamed as well every time we're on the air. So it's a constant 24 hour, and it's the only 24-hour gospel radio station, I want to say. I don't know if it's in the nation or if it's just in the state, but it's a 24-hour gospel radio station, which is rare, and it's one of the first, if not the only one, in the state, if I'm not mistaken.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing I want to ask you is about your dreams and visions for the future. What do you have, I guess, that's still in your heart that you haven't seen yet?
Well, and I was talking about this earlier. The dream I have is to be picked up on a contract, a 20-year, I'm being specific,
Yeah.
a 20-year contract with a major motion picture corporation to do the voiceover or narrations for all of their movie trailers. I don't know if y'all remember a gentleman by the name of Don LaFontaine. He passed away in like the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. Every time you go to a movie theater or you went to the movies, like back
I
in the
remember
90s,
him.
back in the
Yes.
80s, you would hear him in a world where a man,
Yes, I remember
I
him.
kind of do
Yes.
his voice too. But you would hear his voice. But movies, for the most part, have gotten away from that. I've heard very little narration when those movie trailers are playing, the previews when you go into a movie. My goal is to bring that back. I want to do it. I mean, I believe that I can do it. I've been doing voiceovers. I know that I'm called, if you will, to do that. God showed me my gift and I'm using my gift. So if you go to my website, you can hear a demo actually that I just created. I have two demos that's out there. One that says 2017, one that says 2019. And I invite you, check it out. Go to my website under the tab that says The Voice. If you go to the tab that says The Voice, scroll down to the bottom, you'll see two demos there. And for those, anybody out there that does feature films, check out my demo and tell me what you think. I'm always open for feedback. But that is my dream. That is my absolute dream, to get picked up by a major motion picture company, Paramount, Universal, whoever, Georgia Studios, Georgia Productions, anybody, and do that because I love what I do. I love what I do.
Well, have you considered adding other voices to your company?
I've thought about that. I've thought about that for some time, and like everything, I go off of what God gives me. There have been things that God has given me 2 o'clock in the morning. He's given me concepts for a secondary logo. I follow him. As we used to say in the Army, I take all my commands from the tower.
I love
Bottom line,
that. I
I take
love
all
it.
my commands from the tower. Whenever he says do something, whenever something drops in my mind, it could be at any time. And it's like I feel blessed because the creative factor that I have, it's kind of scary sometimes because I can be anywhere and thoughts will generate,
Yes.
but that's what he does. That's what he has given me. So I'm gonna run with it.
Well, that came to mind, especially when you mentioned your daughter and her being being a journalist. I mean, because she didn't have to wait.
Oh yeah.
Going to start working on that now.
Oh yeah,
But I was just
definitely.
even thinking about other young people who maybe hear you and they're inspired and they want to do something similar, and you
Right.
kind of coaching them and bringing their voice up under your. And so now it's not it's voices, and people can say, hey, I want this voice and this voice,
Right.
and maybe it's a skit,
Right.
now for their voiceover or whatever.
Right.
I'm just
Oh yeah,
putting it
definitely.
out there.
Definitely. Well, she loves to talk. That's why that positive affirmation over journalism, media, communication. That's her. I know it. I know it. Unless something happens and it's just more or less my thought process. but I see it in her. She likes to write. Last night she was reading. I mean, just kids read on their own. I don't have to ask her to read. She just picks
Yeah,
up a book and just starts reading aloud very well, as and I might add. So
that's
we'll see
awesome.
what happens.
Well, remind our audience one more time the name of your website and how they can follow you on social media.
Okay, and the company again, Voice of Triumph. My website for Voice of Triumph is www.voice471.com, and I'm on Facebook as Martin Voice of Triumph. Voice of Triumph is like all together. You know how you got to do it on Facebook. Martin Voice of Triumph. Also on Instagram. Also on LinkedIn as well. On LinkedIn is my government name. My government name. My government name. I almost say government. My government name, Martin Bailey. All right, so that's on LinkedIn. But that's where you can find me. Just look me up and call me if you need me.
Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for driving here to be with us today. Any parting words, anything that's on your heart you want to say before you go?
Hey, it's not over until it's over, and it's basically not over until God says it's over. That's the most important thing you need to remember. Don't let anybody, don't let anybody distract you, deter you from utilizing your gift that you know 100% without a shadow of a doubt that God gave you something to do and something inside of you to use. Don't let anybody sidetrack you. Just keep pushing forward, and no matter what you've been through, if you've been through something that maybe even causes some people to kind of like look down at the tip of their nose at you. I've been there. Don't let that deter you either, because there's only one judge, and he's not here on earth. Spiritually, yes, but he reigns in heaven, and he can judge he's going to judge us all. So don't let what people have to say deter you or discourage you. All right, because they're just people. There's only one Jesus. Remember that. There's only one. That's it.
Awesome. Well, this has been a great show. I've enjoyed every moment of it. To my audience, I thank you so much for tuning in. I'll leave you with the words that I always leave you with. Remember this: God loves you just the way you are. You are beautiful because you were created in love. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. You have the seeds of greatness within you. You were born to live a victorious life. You are brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. You are worthy of the best things in life. Make sure you guys follow Martin. I've been a fan since I started following him on social media. You've blessed me today. I know you've blessed our audience as well. Thank you again so much for this.
Thank you.
And to my audience, my final words. You know what I always say: it's not over till I win. If I hadn't won yet, that just means it's not over. So I tell you today, it's not over till you win. If you hadn't won yet, baby, that just means it's not over. Be blessed and keep winning. We're out.